Okay, so this is colour names and naming colours, this experiment's called. Now, on the table in front of me, I've got a list of words written in colour. Now, you can't see that very clearly right now, and in a few moments we're going to bring it up on screen in front of you so you can actually see, because I want you to do something with it, okay? So, when you're ready, look carefully. We're going to bring it up in front of you right now. And what I want you to do is you'll notice there are two lists of words. The one on the left starts off with the word bus at the top, mum, table, cat, and so on. And the one on the right starts off with the word red, green, blue, and so on. What I want you to do, as quickly as you can, without thinking too much about it, as fast as you can, is read through from top to bottom the list on the left, which starts the word bus, and read it through as fast as you can when I give you the count 3, 2, 1, and notice how fast you can go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, hopefully you read pretty fast, jolly good. Now what I want you to do is go through that list again, but this time don't read the words. What I want you to do is out loud say the colours I've written the words in. So for example, bus is written in green. So again, on the count of 3, 2, 1, I want you to go through that list a second time, fast as you can again, out loud, but this time say the colours I've used to write each word. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, so hopefully you read through the list okay. Hopefully you went through the list of colours okay. Second part of the experiment, and try and remember what happened there for you. On the right hand side you've got the list headed with colour words, okay? So we're going to do the same thing actually. What I want you to do is read through that list of colour words, so it'll be red, green, blue, yellow, as fast as you can, out loud, as fast as you can, on the count of 3, 2, 1, ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Excellent. And just as before, this time I want you to go through the same list starting with red, green, blue, but this time don't read it, tell me the colours I've used to write each word. Again, do it out loud, fast as you can, to the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, go! So what was going on? Well, if you did exactly what I asked you to do, I'm hoping you found the list on the left, which were not the colour words, remember, starting the word bus, mum and so on. You read through those words pretty quickly without too much problem. Then I said, say the colours instead of the words, so you just say what the colours are that I used to write each word, and you went through that pretty quickly as well. You probably noticed it took you a little bit longer to do that. Not quite as fast as reading the words, in other words. When you went to the list on the other side, which started off with the word red, you probably read through the words without too much problem. Red, green, blue, yellow, black, and so on, pretty fast, just like the first list. But here's where I hope some interesting things started happening, especially when you started going through to say what colours they were actually written in. As long as you were going fast, most people started getting it wrong only after 4 or 5 words, and they accidentally say what the word says rather than what colour it's written in. And some of you probably persevered and you worked all your way to the bottom, taking your time and accidentally getting it wrong as you went along. That's probably what you should have noticed. So what was going on? How come? How is it that you can read these words no problem, but it takes you a bit longer to do the colours? Even on the first list with non-coloured words, it took you a little bit longer to read those. But when you got to the colour words themselves, you're making these sorts of mistakes. Surely you know your colours. Sounded to me like you don't know your colours. Well, of course you know your colours. Something was happening up there though, which was confusing you. Easy to understand actually. Most of you who are looking at this right now, you're all pretty good readers I'm sure. Your brain has been taught to read. You taught it to read. And what your brain does, whenever you see words written down, your brain automatically reads them. You don't tell it to do it, you read them, don't you? And some words, you don't sound the letters out. Often you just look at the word and you see the letters there, you know what it says. Looking at the arrangement of letters, like the word red is R-E-D. You see R-E-D written, your brain thinks, oh, that says red. You don't sound the letters. So that's how your brain often reads. So your brain is programmed, if you like. We've programmed it a bit like a computer to read as soon as you see a word. So when I tell you to do something different with the word, i.e. I don't want you to read it, I want you to tell me the colour I've used to write it, your brain thinks, what's going on here? And you notice the effect of that in the first list. They weren't even colour words, but you probably found that you went slightly slower when you were saying the colours, because part of your brain was probably still reading them, even though you didn't know it. So it slowed you down a bit. But where it got really interesting was the list of colour words, because now your brain was reading the colour words, even though you didn't want it to, because remember you were saying, no, I want to say what the colour they're written in. But a part of your brain was actually still reading them. And because they were actually colour words themselves, that confused your brain even more. So when you started reading, you probably got the first 2 or 3 okay, but part of your brain, scientists think possibly this side somewhere, was still trying to read the words. And probably somewhere else in your brain, possibly over this side actually, we think it could be, was actually trying to say the colour they're written in. And there was a bit of a battle going on, if you like. Part of the brain was saying, no, we've got to read it. Part was saying, no, we've got to say what the colour it's written in. And there was a conflict going on, and that caused you to trip up and slow down and sometimes make mistakes. But usually the mistakes were you read it accidentally, so the reading was a very powerful program that you put into your brain. So what other things could we vary to see what might happen? Well, we could play around with the words themselves, couldn't we? So one example, which I thought of, I'm going to show you on paper, but we will actually bring it up on the screen in front of you now. You should be able to see that one of the lists is exactly the same. The list on the right-hand side is still the same colour list that you used before. But now the list on the left, which originally was all words that weren't colour words, were they? They started off with the word bus, if you remember. Now they are actually still colour words, but I've used the same colour to write what the word actually says. So the first word is green on that list, and you can see it is actually written in the colour green. I wonder what difference that will make to your experiment. What about a few other things? How about you find someone, if you can, whose job it is to say, read things. They might be an editor or a writer. See if you can find someone like that. Someone who does lots of reading, lots of writing, and be a good person. And try the same experiment on them and see how they get on with it. Now remember, their brain, they've trained their brain even more to read than yours. So I wonder what sort of mistakes they might make compared to you. What about if you took it to someone who maybe is an artist or a painter, someone who uses lots of colour in their work? I wonder what they would do. Now, so think about it, an artist or somebody who uses lots of colour, to them, to their brain, colour is actually more important probably than it is to you. I wonder what their brain would make of this experiment, what differences they might notice. What about if you found someone who's very young, a very young child who's just learning to read, maybe the sort of child who's sounding out their letters still as they read. Try and find a child that can actually read these words, maybe just the colour words, because they're some of the first words they learn anyway. Ask them to do the same experiment, but make sure they can actually read, but maybe they've got to sound their letters out. See how they do. That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? I'm sure you can think of some other things too.